There's a number of things that a person can do to increase their courage. The first is, instead of thinking forward, look back. You know how Stephen Covey talks about begin with the end in mind? I actually think you should begin with the beginning in mind. In fact, begin before the beginning. Look at your own family history and consider the people who've gone off to heaven, but the people, part of your family history, who did brave things. You know, in my own life, my grandmother, we used to call her Goo-Goo. That's what we called her. We couldn't say grandma when we were little kids, and it stuck, and that became her name, Goo-Goo. And when I've been in situations that have required courage, I thought back to people like Goo-Goo and my grandfather, who was an entrepreneur and started a business. And the question in my mind would become, when I'm in this fearful situation that really requires a lot of courage, what would they do? You know, it's almost like the old question, what would Goo-Goo do? You know, would become part of my thinking. So think back to your own courage history as a way to plumb that history so that you can live the intrepid values that your forefathers and foremothers have lived themselves. So that's sort of point number one. A second thing to do is reframe the idea of fear into courage. Because if you know, here's a really cool exercise. Take out a sheet of paper and write down a situation where you were really, really afraid, but kept on moving through that fear at work, and now that you're proud of yourself for having done so. Because courage is encountering and working through fear. So you might actually say, I was really afraid when I spoke to that executive and I stood my ground and my voice was shaking and I was very afraid and the stomach, my butterflies were in my stomach. And then stop what you've written and cross out the word fear and substitute it with the word courageous. Because that's what it is to work through those fears. I was really courageous when my voice was shaking and I was speaking to that senior executive. Same thing. So reframe fear as courage. And that way when you're in that moment and your body is alive with all of those fearful feelings of, you know, dilated eyes and you're getting a little sweaty and your palms are sweating and you've got the rioting butterflies in your stomach, that's actually an indication not just that you're afraid, but if you carry those feelings forward, it's also an indication of courage. So that's sort of tip number two. Tip number three would be answer the holy question. A priest one time told me that these are the four most important words that you'll ever learn in the English language. What do you want? What do you want? And if you can't answer that question with precision, you'll never get what you want, and people won't be able to help you get what you want. And it's up to you to answer that question, what do you want? Because once you know the destination, then you can start figuring out the actions that will get you towards the destination and which actions require more courage than others. And then finally, I think it's really important that you have a courage mentor. Have somebody that has gotten to where you want to get to. Somebody who might possess the skills or character attributes that you don't yet possess, but sure would like to. And then talk to them, have conversations literally about courage. Ask them what role courage has played in their career. Ask them about fearful times in their career and how they get through that. Then share your own anxieties about some fearful situation you're confronting at work and get their mentoring through that process. So have a courage mentor to help you up and off the high dive platform that you might be sitting on.